greatest mantra known to man. Where did it go? It just disappeared. Okay, this is the greatest mantra that you should know, marketing mix, everything. I don't know where I left you in the last class. I'm going to do a breezy run, and then we just paid all our attention to this subject. If I remember very clearly, I said that we will have to also pay attention to the 4 Ps. Good news is that I really know I don't have any Google Forms for today, so you guys can be more confident on that. There's no Google form coming in. I also told you that the 4 Ps are the most important thing that we have to learn about, is what was told to us from time immemorial, where my product, my price, my promotion at my place is all that mattered. So the whole world revolved around P, 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 P. And then we decided why it's so very important, only to be told later on that this is not a seller's market. The days of the seller's market is over. This is the buyer's market. Stop talking about 4 Ps. So after having taught you for 3 hours on the 4 Ps, I'm now asking you to stop thinking about it. Unlearning what you learned. Replace the 4 Ps with the 4 Cs. It's not who you are which matters. It's your customer which matters. It's not your product which matters. It is what the customer values your product. You may be the best, you may have used the finest of the ingredients in your product. But if it doesn't make sense to me, why would I even want to come about it? There is supposed to be a dosa which is sold with a lining of silver or a foil of gold. Very interesting to hear. Very, very exciting to hear. But that doesn't mean anything to me. So do I go there? Do I line up? So that is the thing. And so the customer, the cost of the thing, you may say that, sir, we are working on ultra thin margins, my sir. We only have a 3% margin on our product. Please buy it. But that price is irrelevant to me. You will have to go back and do your exercises and come back to me with a price of what will excite me. And that's happened all the time. That's happened all the time. You challenge yourself, you get a better price. You challenge yourself, you get a better solution. And it's how convenient it is. I just give you one example. I buy medicines in regular intervals at a shop near is about a half a kilometer from my house. And the guy doesn't ask me for every month, of course. He doesn't have to ask me for the prescription. I go there. The guy is very nice. The guy is very friendly. Of course, there's not much of a product differentiation other than the fact that there's a small element of service. And he gives me a good discount on the medicines. All that is fine. We have a good, long association. I also talk many things other than buying medicines with him. And last 6 months back, 150 meters from my house, there's a new medical store. And what do you think I have done? I have changed my years and years of loyalty overnight. It's gone. The guy is calling me and said, sir, come over here, sir. Well, I give you the same product. Come to me. All that is good, but is it convenient any longer? It's not convenient any longer. I can step out in my pajamas and go and buy the medicines. So convenience is what matters. So all that saying that I am located here, I have good parking, doesn't mean anything to me if it doesn't mean convenience to me. So 4 P's have to be replaced by 4 C's. But 4 C's is not enough. We want more. We want more. I'll just skip the slide. The 4 P's got expanded to say 7 P's. What are the 3 more which got added? Physical evidence. Physical evidence. You tell me that the product looks good. I need to feel the product looks good. Tell me if I have done these lines, then I'll not repeat it, because I'm taking 2 sections and it's impossible to synchronize and leave off at the same place for both sections. So if I have talked all this, raise your hand or just tell me, sir, done, let's move forward, because there's plenty to be covered today and I don't want to end up repeating it. Is there a message which says you're repeating it?
No, I don't think we have done this.
Okay, good, good. So what is this physical evidence? Physical evidence. I like the product that Amazon sells. I love to buy that product, but I'm not sure if it fit me well. I'm not sure if it looks good. So what does Amazon say? Try it, return it back. So physical evidence. So there was a time when I would go, I want to buy a new phone. I'll go to the shop next door, physically see the phone, like it, tell that guy, sorry, I forgot my wallet, I'm just coming back. Then I go home and place a product on Amazon. So because I wanted physical evidence. Now the guy at the store said, sir, to Mr. Sampson, that listen, there's something going wrong. Guys come to my showroom only to see the product, but they're placing the order on Amazon. How do you solve this problem for me? You need to solve this problem. Otherwise, I'm not going to be selling your problem. I'm not going to be selling your solution or your phone. So Amazon said, okay, cool, no problem. We just will play around with part numbers. So the part number of the product which is sold online will not match the part number of the product which is sold on the store. So I cannot get to take advantage of it. But back to the 7 P's, physical evidence is so very, very important. So very, very important. That's why we all become smarter. Like, for example, my wife just ordered lots of pots for the flowers and for the plants. And you show a blow up picture, she thinks it's 3 feet by 4 feet, and she ends up getting what is something like 12 inches by 12 inches. So you don't know what the physical evidence is. So nowadays they give you a scale of comparison. Anyway, enough of physical evidence. What matters are people. People are the essence of any relationship. And if you go into B2B marketing, people matter. People virtually matter. It's the person who makes the sale. It's the company which only gets to be sold by the individual. Why would people matter quite a lot? People to people relationship. That's why management works. It's eventually people. Finally, process. How complicated is it to place an order? How complicated is it to buy the product? So all these things are the 7 P's of marketing. But then I keep on telling you, teaching you 7 P's, 4 P's, and then asking you to forget them. So I taught you the 7 P's, now to hell with the 7 P's. Now come up with the 7 C's. What is the 7 C's? People is not what I want. There could be a person out there. How courteous, how competent is that person? How much of courtesy does that person show? My personal experience has been that if I call company XYZ and tell them that I have a problem, it's most likely that they will put me on a spin and never give me a solution over the phone. But my experience has been that people I talk to at Citibank, where I have an account, people resolve the problem. I don't know how it works. It's my perception that 9 out of 10, that one individual solves the problem. She or he is nice. She or he has powers which are given to her, which allows him or her to let go. For years, if I pay my credit card in time, and 1 month I delayed it by a few days and complained to them, that lady would really make it a lot of difference. And honestly, it's people to people communication. And if you guys are regular users of Ola, the what's the new word, the trip that I get, the high that I get, the super feel that I get when I book an Ola Prime and I step into the car and the driver starts it says, "Welcome, Mr. Ramesh." So that's the greatest feeling that I can possibly have. Or when I walk into a restaurant and then the restaurant person at the restaurant acknowledges me and says that he knows me and calls me by name, and "How are you, Mr. Ramesh?" People matter. People matter. Convenience processes. How complicated is it to order something? How complicated is it to send back something? I'll give you an example. I ordered, how do I say this? Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal came up with an offer saying that subscribe for Wall Street Journal for 2 months at $1 per month. And at the end of the second month, the third month onwards, $19 per month. But I'm an Indian, so I thought I know all the answers to the problem. So I said, 2 month to hum le lenge, and then I will stop the subscription. So 2 months, I enjoyed lots and lots of Wall Street Journal data. And third month, I'm trying to unsubscribe. The unsubscribe process is so very complicated. The unsubscribe process, which was never explained to me, involved calling up Wall Street Journal in their office in the US and asking them for a disconnect. Very, very complicated process. And my fear is running $19.99 per month. I will have to jump from the floor that I live. So there you go. The process is enough to kill you. But again, long story short, why are we Indians called Indians anyway? I just called my card company and told them I lost my card. And so they blocked the card. That's it, matter closed. So anyway, so this is what I wanted to share with you, 7 P's and 7 C's. And now, this is not today, there are no Google Forms. So we are done with that subject. I did a case study for section B on Heineken and Red Bull on one side versus Pepsi and Cola on the other side. But diversity is important. So I will not do that case study for you guys. I will pick up a new case study, which I have done in the previous, and share it with you all. So if you want to listen to the Heineken and what is it called, the other story, you can obviously try getting access to that particular data. Now, where is my understanding a case study? Okay. You've been signed out of another because the account is signed into the, what is it? Okay. New share. Okay, do you see the screen? Obviously, yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do case studies. Now, what is case study and why is case study so very important? Case study is important because you know what it is. Seekha kya humne? What is the learning from the past? What did we learn? Why is it that From generations to generations, there is all the stories that are being told to you. So what was the mistake did that fellow do? What is the error that he did? And how can we learn from the mistakes of Nokia? How can we learn from the mistakes of anybody? Why did this company, which was going so well, why did it die overnight? How not to trust certain individuals, how not to take something for as very important, how to pay importance to small bit of news coming in. You have a tendency to shoot the messenger. I don't know how many of you understand the word shoot the messenger. Shoot the messenger means that the messenger comes, the guy messenger normally comes running or on a horse ride to convey a messenger to the message to the king. The messenger comes and says, "Sir, aapko teen bete ho gaye hain." So the guy is going to give him a kilo of gold and make him go smiling. But the same messenger may come and say, "Sir, we lost a boundary or a village to a neighbor king who attacked me." That's bad news. So bad news, what do? You shoot the messenger. Why do you want to shoot the messenger? The messenger is only conveying you the information. So pay importance to bad news. Listen to what happens all the time. So business case study is learning from one and implementing it on a different time frame. This reminds me of a story that I grew up with, and I'm sure all of us grew up with this story. And the story goes like this, is that there was this hat seller or a cap seller. How many of you know what the cap seller story is? There was this cap seller who made caps at home and would go to different villages to sell the cap or sell the hats. So one summer morning and a day like this, when he was going from one village to another village, he rested himself below a tree. And anybody knows how the story is going?
Yes,
Yes.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what happens next on that story?
All the monkeys in the village
All the
wear,
monkeys
wear the cap because he's
gets up in
wearing
the
the cap.
morning. Yeah,
And then he wants it back. So
yeah.
how does
All the
he get it back?
monkeys take away that. Yes,
He
continue.
he will throw the cap, and then all the monkeys also throw the cap. He will throw his
All the
cap and
monkeys
all the
throw the
monkeys
cap
follow
and
him.
then absolutely perfect. So that is the story that I wanted to tell you, because that is what was the business case that the father discussed with the son. He said, so the son, 20 years later, it's the same SUN and the hot summer. He goes from village to village. He goes, and unfortunately, he doesn't know which tree his father slept under. And he ends up sleeping on below the same tree on that Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, if it's today. And when he goes into deep sleep, the monkeys take away the caps. And this guy gets up and notices all the caps are missing. But his father had told him, कि देखो ऐसा हो सकता है, and what is it that you should do? The son takes the cap and bangs it on the floor. Now, what happens now? The monkeys reply, we too have fathers. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Yes, the monkeys also tell the boy that even my father experienced, he like an idiot threw away the cap looking at the man. Now we are also educated. My father has told me. And so just because it happened 20 years back, don't expect us to be idiots. We are also educated. So if you understand the joke, is that we too have fathers. That means that your father may have taught you how to get the hat back. My father, as in the case of those monkeys, have told us don't react. So business case studies are different. Just because it happened like that in a particular instance It's no guarantee that it will happen in this instance. But still, business case studies, especially in business and management, are very important because it tells you how did we react, what did we do, and mostly business case studies of successful companies are very helpful for us to grow up in our own businesses. So with that background, business case study, standing for BCS, is of course different from a business plan, because a business plan tells you that if you give me the money, Harshdeep Kaur, if you give me $500,000, here is what my business outlook is going to be. This is where I will invest the money. This is what I plan to do with it. This is the segment that I will do. This is the market that I perceive. This is the cash flow forecast that I do. And I believe that that $500,000 that you have invested into my company over 7 years might give you a healthy return and a better return on investment. So that is future. Business case study is the past. So there you go. I'm not going to get into this or this because we have discussed this. Have we discussed this? Have we discussed this?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We did.
sir, we
Yes,
have
Professor.
discussed.
Yeah. So we'll not go there. So we'll not repeat it. So the story in today's conversation is about Tanishq. Is about Tanishq and the story of Indian gold. Gold is always going up, right? Gold is supposed to be the best known investment, which is supposed to give you good returns. And you always invest in gold, hoping to get save you from a crisis at given time. So you've seen that historically gold rises. It may occasionally fall, but that may only be a blimp. It almost. So about Tanishq. Tanishq is a product from Titan, and Titan is a Tata Group company. So Titan has been in existence for quite some time and has a joint venture with the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation. And they have now become one of the finest of the world leaders in watches. They have a good market share, and they said that let's use our successes in the watch industry to enter into what is called the jewelry business with the brand name Tanishq. Okay, Tanishq. In 1995, this is a very old story, not very old, it's an old story, but it is a good story to think about. In 1995, Tanishq entered into the gold business with Tanishq, or Tata entered with Tanishq, and they thought they will do exactly what they did with Titan, the learnings with Titan, and they entered for a huge disaster. 3 years in 1998, Tanishq was doing so badly that they even decided to get out of that business. But then they said, let's find out why are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? What is it that we can do to correct ourselves? So the story at 1995, you should see what was the market in 1995. Tanishq was one of the first organized sector to enter the jewelry market. Before 1995, how was the market? The market was always one jeweler, one known jeweler. We had a family jeweler. That guy is the guy, his father made jewels when my mom got married, or his great grandfather has always been associated with us. And we knew the jeweler all along. He played an important role in our family lives, and we always went back to the jeweler. There was a lot of trust that had developed between the jeweler and us. We normally didn't question anything, and it was a very nice relationship on bonding between the family jeweler and all that. And gold was always bought as an investment. Gold was always bought as an investment. And it was buying gold was a very, very, very important Did I miss a slide? Let me see if I missed the slide. No, I have not. So buying gold was a very, very important event. Nobody just walked in like that. Chalo kuch nahi karenge, let's buy. We have nothing to do. They play Antakshari, right? But they don't play, they don't go and buy gold just like that. So buying gold was a traditional event. You even had to look at the position of the stars, the sun and the moon before you bought gold. So gold purchase was a very, very big event. And people would even borrow money because getting gold for a daughter's marriage was a very important affair. Now, from nowhere, it's good for Titan to be, or Tata as a steel manufacturer, as a car manufacturer, or a lorry or a truck manufacturer. Somehow he did well in the watch industry, but for a corporate to get into jewelry business, unknown, unheard of. No way would somebody want to get attached to a brand like Tata for gold. It was unknown. It was always an historical and generation of relationship. They may be known for watches, but not for gold jewelry. So one mistake, that got the totally different branding gone for a toss. And what Tata did was also something even more stupid. They came up with all Western products, Western designs, Western look, and even more, they made buying gold a fun event. They say that we'll sell you 18 karat gold. So that is what Tata entered with. And obviously, anybody could have returned their LUG right away. The losses piled up, and Tata started wondering what is going on. Let's do a market research. Let's get some bright students from Dayanand Sagar Executive MBA course to find out what's going wrong in this part of the world. So they went and found out. What did they find out? Is that Western design had no takers. Nobody wanted to buy Western designed gold because I know the women will know this better, but you don't take gold seriously if it doesn't have an Indian or ethnic touch to it. And that's point number one. 18 karat gold is not even considered gold. And I can say that during my initial days of travel outside of the country, I would very clearly be told not to experiment and buy gold and come because especially if it's 18 karat gold, don't even buy it. So 18 karat gold by Indian perception is not gold. No customer position. We got the entire branding wrong, the product wrong, everything was going wrong. So if that is one problem, we all, and in the next subsequent 1 hour, we will also learn what does USP stand for, which is the unique selling proposition. There was no uniqueness in Tata or Tanishq for people to go and buy it. The traditional, the best thing for them to do is to also go traditional. But by going traditional, how are they different from anybody else? So one problem was they had a product problem. The second was they were trying to make it a fun event. They were trying to tell the woman that you are an independent person. You can walk in on your way back from work to a Tanishq showroom and buy gold or buy a nice earring. But that was the position at that time, which was totally wrong. That was an unliberated woman, even at the 1995. That may have been so, but still the bonding between the daughter, the mother, the grandmother was all so strong that nobody would actually step out and buy gold on their own. So that again, they were connecting to a wrong set of people. The easiest thing to do is what? Change the product, right? There are 4 P's: product, price, place, and all that. 1 minute. Huh? So the easiest thing is to go traditional. The easiest thing is to tell your goldsmith at Tanishq that go from 18 to 22. Best thing to do. That's easy. That's what they did. But if you do that, will you be able to get everybody to walk into your showroom and buy your products? No. The first thing that you need to understand, we will also spend a lot of time in the next hour talking about why understanding the competition is so important. Thus, you need to understand who is your competition. And who was your competition in 1995? Your competition was that family jeweler, in your area, in your village, in your hometown. And what was the relationship between the jeweler and the buyer? He had faith with no proof. He did not know, the buyer did not know whether the jeweler was actually giving 22 carat or not. There was no reason for the product to cost 11,500 or should it actually cost 10,300. There was no pricing mechanism. There was no logic. And the worst is if you brought to the jeweler somebody else's sold jewelry, he would say that's bad and he would totally undervalue it. And there was no mechanism for you to exchange. Once sold is gone. Also, these old-time jewelers were very isolated, which means that they addressed a small community or they addressed a small pocket in a small section in a village. And they had a very, very controlled captive base. And they had very poor documentation. They never gave you bills. And this was the background. So now, Tanishq, having messed up with the product, went back to the market, did a research and said, what's wrong? Well, let me understand their competition. So they came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points and said, this is what is your competition. Now let's gear up. So the first thing he said that there is faith without proof. They assumed that the customer assumed that this family jeweler actually gave him 22 karat gold. Now, how do you test the purity of gold? You actually take the gold and rub it against a particular touchstone and then look for the purity of the gold. But that is almost like eating away that kind of gold. So there was no way that Titan could demonstrate to the other users, the ones who are refusing to walk into their showroom, that the gold that you have may be debatable. What they did is that they came up with a meter called the carat meter. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Now, 1995 is a long way back in history, so you might see lots of carat meters everywhere. Carat meter in 1995 was a very, very expensive piece of testing equipment. But Tanishq put them in all their showrooms and told everybody that don't buy my gold. Walk into my showroom and test the gold that you have for free of cost. So by this very act, people would walk into the showroom of Titan, not to buy gold, but to reconfirm that the gold that they had was good or bad. For Titan had known that this could be the best way for us to switch the customer. And what was the finding? Over 60% of the people who had bought gold from their traditional jewelers realized that it was not 22 karat, it was not even 18 karat, it was much less than that. So by one singular act, Titan was able to break that long-standing relationship of trust between the buyer and the old traditional jeweler. This resulted in more and more customers walking into Titan for Tanishq for buying the products. So you see how a certain amount of market understanding enables a company or an organization to move in line and get the customer to walk ahead. Second thing, what did they realize? That there was no way in which pricing could be defined. Somebody said gold was so much. Somebody said Cochin gold is less. Somebody said Mumbai is where all the gold lands up. Go to Mumbai, you get a cheaper gold. Absolute confusion. Now, Titan saw this as a great opportunity for them. They said, we will have one uniform price all over India. So there is no benefit of whether you are in Kochi or you are in some other part of the world. You relaxed to the thought that there was no locational benefit that somebody would get in terms of gold. Point number one, Tanishq did not stop there. They said that, what is the price of gold? The price of gold is 32,300. Why is it 32,300 and not 32,400? They said it's because our price is also further linked to the price of gold at the London Metal Exchange. So it is possible for you to verify what is the price of gold at the London Metal Exchange and cross-check what is happening on us. So this further established a great amount of confidence in the customers that I was not being taken for a ride, and there is absolute logic to the pricing mechanism. So you see, they got to establish faith or break the faith that they had, get customer to appreciate a pricing mechanism. And third is, they said that we will, you can take back, we will take the gold at 0% loss to you or 100% refund guarantee. Because Titan realized that the psyche of the buyer, and I do not know how many of you are married men in this group, but I can tell you by sheer experience that if I end up buying a sari or a dress for my wife, when I'm on travel, or even or whatever it is, it's definitely, she's not going to like the color and look of it, and she'll insist on that being returned. That's historical fact. So Titan knows the psyche of the person, that you go buy something, you come back home, you see it under a different light, you see it under a different mood, and then your neighbor doesn't give the smile that you want. The worst thing you want to do is return it back. So Titan said, most delightfully will take the gold back. The same did not happen with the other jeweler in the unorganized sector, because he would doubt what would you do with that thing and whatever. So that was the second problem, that they brought in faith and said, okay, you can buy it, come back tomorrow and return it. There's no problem. The second or the other thing that they noticed about the family jeweler or the old traditional jewelers was that they had a very, very small captive base, meaning that this jeweler would only address the customers in Malleshwaram. He did not have customers in Jayanagar. Of course, the Jayanagar jeweler knew nothing about what was happening in Marathalli and who his customers were. It was a very, very, very isolated market. It's a very, very isolated market with a captive customer base. Now, what is it that you should do to enter such a market? Titan had two options. Should I open one store in every Indian city? That's about 100 stores in 100 cities. Or should I do carpet bombing in a place like Bangalore and put up multiple outlets in a single location, in a single city? That means that a city like Bangalore would have 20 outlets of Tanish, which means that you virtually attack that very regionalized, authentic or the old jeweler. So what did they do? They opened up lots and lots of branches in few cities. Of course, eventually they expanded. So that's a further act that they did. Now, they virtually got rid of everything. The faith was destroyed. The pricing mechanism was explained. There was an exchange policy or a return policy. They managed to eliminate the isolated guys in larger cities. They gave you all kinds of bills, which is that they handle the documentation. Now they had to increase their revenue. So what is it that they do to increase the revenue? They said that we will go back to our original plan. They made the lowest possible entry possible. They said that you can walk into our showroom and buy a gold for as little as 4,000. So now the market entry, the barrier to enter the market was dropped completely, which means that you expanded the customer base. That's one thing. Then they got into customer satisfaction program. They said that you like it, you come back, you bring a friend. All that is all the marketing gimmicks that go on. You come back with your friend, we'll also throw in a 10% discount for you and your friend also benefits. Then they said they'll do a corporate gift scheme. That was a scheme that did wonders. Was that the corporate would give away, festival gifts to their employees. They encouraged the corporate to give away gold as a gift. That is one thing that they did. And second, they entered, now having captured the larger markets, they entered the smaller towns, and now you will find Tanishq virtually everywhere. Now that has also, the Tanishq success has been now cloned by so many other new jewelers that you may not appreciate the spirit of success of Tanishq today, but it is they who broke what was otherwise a very, very unorganized sector. And of course, they did another thing, which is that they also did a countrywide finance. So now they even made it easier for you to buy gold. You can pay on your card or you pay them in 10 monthly installments. Rest of it is. Now, this is almost the end of the presentation, is that now Tanishq is established, absolutely doing well, reliable and doing well. With these learnings, there have been other products which have demonstrated, like Kalyan Jewelers, whoever the new ones is. But these guys have been the trendsetters in a totally disorganized market. Finally, after the success of Tanishq, Tata has now launched Skin, which is perfumes and colognes and things like that. Do you think the same process, the same success that they did, the same mechanism that they used for entering into a market, which is also very, very diverse? This market of the perfume or whatever that industry, deodorant industry, is extremely diverse. Do you think Tata can have the same success? Do you think that they can take the case study of a 1995 and implement it in 2010 or 12? That's a question that we need to ask. It's a totally different industry. So this is one presentation that I wanted to share with you all. Do you have any questions? You're most welcome to ask me, or I don't know why were you guys laughing about something, but I know must be have said something during the conversation. Okay, so anything else on this, or we will then move to a next subject. What's the next subject that I've got? Yes.
Professor, this is Chinmay here.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon. So when we speak about Tata's this thing, the case study what we run through right now, Tanishq,
Yes.
isn't it poor strategy from Tata to enter into the market? Now, I understand that about the patchwork what they did to come out of the situation, but isn't it poor judgment and poor decision that was made by whoever it was to enter into this sector before doing a market research?
Yeah, they may have done a market research. We cannot deny the fact that they didn't do a market research. They are too big an organization to just jump into it just like that. They may not have perceived the level of the challenge or the level of reluctance to the extent that they visualize. So, but the point in, we don't know who made that decision. We don't know, even for the fact that for somebody like, how did they get into watches? What kind of a sector was the watches sector, and how did they manage to do it? Maybe a little more nicer to understand, because the watch sector is not as disorganized or as what is the word, as cottage industry as the jewelry industry is. Yeah, there have been errors. Obviously, if you read this statement, and this is also a Harvard Business Review statement, is that you notice this guy crying and saying that we want to get out of this business. We don't want to be part of this business. We have burnt enough out of this business. And then they say that actually they wanted to get out of this business and say that, and the market research was only to give a justified report saying that why we cannot stay in this business longer. But it's an error correction, which is what you need to appreciate, Chinmay, is that they have been able to correct the error. And sometimes later on, maybe I will take it up in our classes here, or you may have somebody talk about the story of Airtel in Africa, which is also a big story that I always keep talking about, is that if you do any parameter search, you will notice that that was the most smartest decision to go. But once you hit there, once you go there, ground realities are so different. Maybe you didn't really do enough of market research, or you did all kinds of research. You assumed that the buyer would be, I'll tell you what, you assumed that the buyer would be an independent woman who will take the decision. And maybe during the survey, she said yes, but in reality, there's no way that she would go without her mother or something like that. What I need you to appreciate is how they came out of it. But I don't want to stop at that. I really want to appreciate the fact that you brought up saying that why did they go in the very first place? Perfect, makes sense. Anybody else has anything?
Chinmay again, Professor. How do we get access to these the Harvard reviews and write-ups?
Become a professor.
Okay, I don't have any idea about it.
No. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Is that that's why that's my job. That's my job. That's my job, is to dig and dig and dig and dig and get you the best of stuff. There are two kinds of case study that any professor would want to bring around. And I mentioned that in my, one is classic case studies which cannot be ignored. For example, a classic case study would be, where will I talk about? Okay, I'll think about it. I can't think of something immediately. Or the success of Kellogg's, or the success of the failures of Nokia, or something like that. Classic. You go dig 2 minutes on the Google, you will find a lot of them. Then you have detailed case studies, like the ones that technically your quality of work, Chinmay, your quality of work at the end of term 3 is when you will come out with your own case study, should have that quality of work that it itself is worth reading and talking.
Understood.
That's why, if you look at what I have offered you, is that I'm not told you that. If you looked at assignment 2, I said, go find for yourself among the Fortune 500, among the unicorns of India, or among the unicorns of the world. Go find yourself a company that you think is growing super fast. And what do you think? So this is all, after all, even the Harvard Business Reviews are all reviews done by students. And work hard, and you will come out with something as good as that. But professors have access to that material. Colleges have a relationship with these universities, and hence we get to read them. But it's not that. You get hundreds and thousands of case studies. What is important is, how does the professor convert a 23-page document into a 10-slide and tell a story? That's also something that you may want to give credit to the professors who talk. Okay, done. Now we can't. We are running slower than the B section, so it's actually good. We can always have an additional 1 hour and make up for it. So don't ask more questions. We can always go slow and add 1 more hour if we are under time. Not today, of course, in the end of the class. So now I am going to move to another thought process. You have understood the 4 P's. Incidentally, I did not do this case study of Titan with the class B students. The case study I did was about Heineken, maybe more interesting for Chinmay, but it is, unfortunately, it's Heineken 0.0, which means no alcohol in the case study. And but you want access to that, you can obviously go and listen to it. And that case study will also be uploaded in the LMS. But that case study did not talk about the 4 P's. The case study talked about STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So the links are different. Now I'm switching on to what is called market growth strategy. What do you think is the aim of any organization? I told you that the aim of every organization is to have a vision statement, a mission statement, an objective, and do a SWOT analysis. That doesn't mean that every day morning, Mr. Tata and Mr. Ambani is getting up and say, "Acha, Nita, revise the vision statement, batao." His 2 children, Amara vision batao. It doesn't work like that, right? Vision, mission, SWOT analysis is all done, dusted, packed somewhere, and then said, okay, we've got it. What we want is growth. Company has to grow. That's the only objective of every organization. It's all very nice to say vision, mission. Of course, that's all there. That's the clouds above. But we assume the clouds are there. We assume that the sun and stars are not there. We don't count them every day. So what we count is the trees and plants and how many did we produce. So growth is important. How do we grow? how do I grow the market? I am an 8% market share guy. How do I become a 16% market share guy? My revenue for the last 3 months is not moving. This honestly is the conversation my boss is having with me. He's saying, we are spending time, effort. You've been the worst thing that you want to hear from your boss is saying, Ramesh, you've been going visiting exhibitions, you've been going visiting seminars, you've been going and staying at the finest hotels that you want to stay and visiting all customers and flying business class, and there's no revenue. What explanation do you give to your boss who's going to ask you this question? Because all that money spent has to show up in somewhere, has to show up and say, boss, I grew the market by 8%. Okay, there is no revenue, but I did something miraculous. Our profits have gone up. So every company wants these lovely words. Oh, I'm an organization with 99 employees. I want to have at least 300 employees out there. Why? Because my vision is to give greater employment. That's how will I achieve that vision if I do not have the greed for a market, the greed to eat my customers, my competition's market share. At the end of the day, I also have a societal response that what would the company want to think of me? So all that is involved in our day-to-day works. Actually, running a business, running a company, fighting is almost like fighting war. It's almost like fighting war. And so the Art of War, which is one of the oldest books to have ever been written, is now adapted to the marketing world. It talks about how it really talks about war. It really talks about how do you attack your customer? How do you attack not your customer? How do you attack your competition? How do you hit the competition when he's at its weakest? So, for example, I do not know if you guys know the story about Chanakya. Chanakya and what was the king associated with him? Chandragupta, right?
Chandragupta.
Maurya. Which one?
Chandragupta Maurya, sir.
Chandragupta Maurya. So you know who's Chanakya. Chanakya had one. I'll definitely get my history wrong. So don't hold me for getting the names wrong. So, but I'm assuming. So the only motive of Chandragupta was that I want to get rid of the Magadhas, if I'm right. How do I get rid of them and establish a Gupta kingdom in this place? Okay, I think get rid of whoever. But anyway, so he tries every time. Every time he attacks the capital. Every time he attacks the capital. And he gets defeated. Every time he attacks the capital, he gets defeated. One fine day, I don't know, a lot of trees and summer coming up in today's conversation. One fine day, exhausted Chanakya is sitting below a tree and wondering, how do I fight this war? How do I fight this war? How do I win this war? Next to him is a mother and son. They are sitting to have a meal, and there is rice and hot sambar. So the mother pours hot sambar on the rice for the boy to eat. The boy dips his fingers into the middle of the plate, and the fingers burn. The mother tells the boy, "This is not the way to eat it. Attack or take the side of the plate. From the edges of the plate, the sambar would have dripped out. It will not be that hot. Mix it up and eat. That is a way to eat." Now Chanakya listens to this conversation and gets inspired and says, attacking the capital is the most worst thing for you to do. What you need to do is to attack the smaller villages in the edge of the kingdom and take over them. So that is how he attacks it. And this learning may sound like pure war tactics. And where do you put them to use in your marketing? How many of you have a hair product? HAIER. How many of you have a hair product? Possibly, yeah, Rohit, excellent. You know, hair is a Chinese company, but with such a huge brand presence that they really shook the world. When hair entered the American market, they had to compete next to GE, General Electric, or next to Samsung, or next to Whirlpool, or whatever, the big names. There was no way hair could have got into the market. I'm sorry this conversation is going upside and down, but that's my class. You guys have to take it that way, okay? So Hayer then says, how do I enter a market as complicated, as controlled as an American market? Hayer finds one entry point. Guys, when you travel in the US from location A to location B, and these are super highways, you stop over at a place which is called a motel. And 9 out of 10, who runs these motels? Quick answer. The good Jews, the Patels run these hotels, right? Okay, anyway, that was a side conversation. So you stay over at a motel, you stay over the overnight on the highway. What Hayer did, and Hayer's attack on the market is top quality case study discussion, top quality. And I'll tell you at the end of today or tomorrow the name of the guy who's actually responsible for the success. What he does is he goes to these hotels, these motels, and replaces the air conditioner, or sells them Hayer air conditioners and sells them Hayer refrigerators. So now when you are on a holiday with your family, you check into the hotel, you like the air conditioning in the hotel, and you hold the remote in your hand and it says, this is a Hayer. You liked it. You liked the refrigerator which was there in the room. You are exposed to a brand without any knowledge to the world of the leaders, that slowly there is a shift that is happening. So tomorrow when you want to go and buy a product, you may not find the Hayer among the top line, but you may find the Hayer in the 3rd row, in the 4th corner, in the 5th room, but you recognize that brand. You recognize the brand because that brand gave you a good night sleep when you were in a motel. Now you trust that brand because you have seen it perform. You have seen it perform. The rest of it is hearsay. So that way, Hayer was able to make a huge access. And this is exactly the strategy that Chanakya used. So all our learnings can be put into our use in today's market sense. So that's anyway, our conversation got diverted. So Art of War is all about it. How do I grow? How do I grow? How do I grow? How do I? You ask anybody, you say, how do I grow? I work harder. I employ my people. I whip my employees. I punish the non-performers, and I will grow. I will grow. That's bullshit. You can never grow that way. You will only grow if you know who your competition is. You know what is it that your competition does. You should know why your customer wants your product, why your customer does not want your product, and you will have to know how the market is behaving. So in the next 20 or 30 odd minutes, we will talk about all these 3 facts. So incidentally, don't try reading Word of the Art of War. It's a painful book. You want to read Michael Porter's competitive strategy? Go ahead. Very, very easy to do. Very slim 800 pages book. You can quickly digest it. No problem. You can go through it. Now, I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this a skip for now, and maybe I'll come back to it later. Now, what are the principles of developing your market? What is it that you should do to develop the market? One, there are 4 or 5. I don't know how many are there. 5. One is specialization. What are you good at? Not good. What are you really good at? What is that really good at being conveyed to your customer? How different are you from somebody else? So one is specialization. Second is differentiation. Third is segmentation. Segmentation is, do I go and take a mic and do you think it makes sense? We always say, the first thing, the industry that I come from is called the satellite industry. So how do I advertise for my services? Do you think I should advertise in Bangalore Times? Bangalore Times next to the Bollywood or what the Kannada version is called? The Kannada Bollywood is called
Sandalwood.
Sandalwood. Yeah. Next to Sandalwood, actresses buy satellite capacity for your communication needs, and act like that would send the world laughing. So how do I focus on, where do I concentrate my product line? How do I make it known to us? So all of this we'll discuss in the next 15-20 minutes. Okay. Any questions so far? Fair enough. Okay. So now look at the specialization. What am I good at? What am I good at? What is specialization? I'll tell you, you will do a specialization in term 4. Specialization has to be true specialization. You're supposed to digest the fact that you know everything that's happening on that subject. But look at these guys. McDonald's truly specializes. How do you differentiate Mac from somebody else? Mac says, I give you fast food, clean food. I actually like the Vasudev Adiga old ad. Good food fast, or fresh food fast, correct. Fresh food fast is to be the Adiga's tagline. Brilliant. Their complete understanding of their specialization. Fresh food, and it's fast. So similarly, what do McDonald's give you? They give you food which is fast, the place is clean, and it's value for money. The same thing with these Udupi restaurants as the earlier one, but I guess the Vasudev Adiga is the best example. You may be dining out in a 5-star hotel, but you still are a customer for these kind of breakfast restaurants, because what do? They give you what exactly that you need. They are not competing with anybody else. They have their own specialized market. They are not competing with the Imperials, or they're not competing with the Rajasthani buffet restaurants. They have their own unique specialization. So every company, every organization, every entity has to find out, what is my specialization? What am I good at? Then comes the differentiation. How different are you? Oh, sir, actually our company is very different. We are totally different from our customers. We provide quality service and we bring value to our product, to our customers. That's the easiest thing to say. And that's the most stupidest thing to say. It's because, do you mean to say that the other competitor is not providing quality? You mean to say his service is bad? Do you think he assumes that there's no value for his product? That is not the differentiator. Your differentiator has to be something extremely understandable, that it can shake the hell out of it has to be superior, it has to be excellent, and it has to be extremely unique. And I was trying to create an example for this, that I just discovered that Amazon publishing services is something which is very unique. Now, it so happens that the book that I put up here, which is called The Whispering Tree of Bangalore, is a book written by a good friend of mine. And I strongly recommend you guys to buy or read it if you like your place called Bangalore. It's about the story told by a tree about life in Malaysia and a part of Bangalore and how the life has changed. And it starts off from the 50s, 60s, and all that. A very interesting book. And my friend published this book. So the first thing I wanted to know, because everybody wants to be a writer. And so I had 101 questions, and I asked him, what was the minimum order that you had to place, and how much advance do you have to pay, and all that stuff. The answer came in that the world of publishing has changed. Amazon Publishing Services does not ask you to give an order for 200 numbers. And then you have those 200 numbers. If you have seen the old writers and books, you go to their house, you will have dozens and dozens of copy lying in their house. And you feel so sorry for them because they are paid for the books to be there, and they are published but not sold. But Amazon doesn't work like that. Amazon has their own evaluating process. They like your book. They say, done. Your book is listed in our company. And how does it publish? You place an order for one, they publish for one. That's it. And it's Amazon Publishing, which means that it's also AWS and it's also Amazon Cloud. So if you are placing an order from some part of the US, the nearest cloud print service would print it out for Amazon and ship it. So there are no pre-printed copies. Very unique. Makes the life of a writer much more. If you see these writers or these poets and these novelists, they get exhausted trying to sell the books. They are not competent to sell. They are not marketers. They are only writers. Amazon makes their life so easy. Now, do you think I will then go to Rupa and Co or whoever the next publisher is? No. That's the competitive advantage that Amazon gives. So that is what you should do as a differentiator. Then comes USP. I just played around with words. While typing, I typed USP. Then I said, let me make some fun out of it. And so the USB became USB, which obviously you know what it stands for. And finally, I said USP so that you will remember this slide forever. So what is unique? What is unique about you? What is unique about that company? What is unique about that company? Why would I want to buy this product? What is unique about this product? If you travel by Uber, and if you are very lucky, Uber will tell you 2 lines about the driver. He'll say, this driver is very friendly, is a conversationalist, and is friendly or whatever, and then he's got 4.9 ranking. Or very recently, after about a year and a half, I got somebody to actually come and give me a haircut. And Urban Company told me that this gentleman, whoever it is who came to give me a haircut, is a chatty guy. He talks to you. So that is the uniqueness of it. And I like it. And he was giving me a haircut. He was talking about all kinds of things. And he seems to be a cricketing buff. And we had battles over why RCB is likely to disappoint us one more time. And so what is it? Is that there is a bonding by that uniqueness. So every entity has to give a uniqueness. I started off our section B because the section B starts at 9:30. I had all the time at Bird. I ran a small video, which I didn't do for you guys, which was about the very, very iconic, and I'll share it with you, the very iconic presentation of Steve Jobs. Or maybe I will run it for a few minutes so that you guys may appreciate it. Let me see if I still have that right there. Okay, I think I'll do one thing. It's the right time for me to take a break. And it's at 2:45. You guys watch it, also take a break. And we will assemble at 3:05. Is that fine?
Yes,
Sure,
sir.
bro.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, so we'll do a new share, give this, share, and
I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
can you hear this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, barely.
Okay, I'll go full screen on this. And
Professor, this is Chinmay here. It
Yeah.
would be good if we play this on our own systems, because the buffering will kill the clarity of the video. So we will play. I would suggest to play it from my end. And
yes, sir. Samajhiya. So what you are asking me to do is this, right? Okay. Yeah, play it in your own windows. And what's the time? 2:47. It's a 14-minute video, so that will make it 3. So 3:10, I'll see you guys. Okay, isn't this what you wanted, Chinmay?
that's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Yeah, so guys, watch this. You must watch it. That's most important. Don't. This is something I want you to know, because I'm going to comment about what exactly he says in our next part of the conversation. So yeah, go back, watch it, and I will be back at 3:10.
Thank you.
Pause record. Good. So the point is, the story that Steve Jobs is trying to tell you is that you are coming up with something so unique. And he doesn't say it's unique because I like unique things. He said it's unique because that's exactly your problem in your life that I know better and I'm addressing it. And he is among the very few people who, believe that if you ask a customer what you want, he actually doesn't know what he wants. So we are more qualified to. There's a very, very famous statement. There's a very, very famous statement by Henry Ford that if you ask the customer what he wants, he is most likely to tell you that I want faster horses. He'll never tell you that he wants a mechanized car. So you guess what I'm trying to say is that customer doesn't know that he wants a car. He is used to horses. He will want a faster horse. It's up to you to give the customer a car, and then he begins to appreciate. Similarly, in a world of keyboard phones, it really needs diametrically opposite thinking to come up with a keyless phone and take the total market in your thing. It took me, honestly, a very long time to switch, and I wasn't willing to switch to not necessarily iPhone or the other products, because I believe that I had the keyboard and that sound and all that stuff, but eventually we fall into it. So that is USB. How unique is your selling proposition? How unique, how unique. More unique you are, the exactly unique that you come up with, you have the entire market falling on your feet, which is what it does. And you see, he said it virtually affected and impacted every known industry that is today. Now then we'll move into another thing called segmentation. Segmentation is, what is it? Segmentation is identify that customer who appreciates your specialty. Remember, this is the meaning of segmentation. Segmentation means that what is specialty? There are some uniqueness about what I do. There's some uniqueness. How many people truly appreciate that this is organic food? And organic food is expensive. Or organic food, or no fertilizer based fruits or vegetables are expensive. So that's your specialty. Your specialty is that I grow them under absolutely zero fertilizer base. That itself is not enough for you to sell the product. What you need to sell the product is to identify those people who like what you're doing. Example, the case of Shell petrol pump. You've seen Shell petrol pump, right? I mean, they all are all over the place. And it's expensive. The fuel there is 4-5 rupees costlier than the fuel at the next HPCL pump. But there are people who are going there. There are people who are loyal Shell customers who are willing to go there and fuel their cars and scooters. Why do they do that? They appreciate that uniqueness that you bring in. What is that uniqueness? Ask a regular Shell customer, he'll tell you. Don't ask me, because I will not go to a Shell because they charge me more. But these are those customers who come back again. They go back only to Shell. They will always go back and visit them. So this is the segmentation that you must learn to understand. If you know your specialty, if you know your segmentation and address them, you got it perfectly right. I put up this Krishna Chetty thing and told that story to the previous class, and I'll tell you again. Krishna Chetty is a brand of jewelers, and incidentally, very many years back, I bought some jewel things like that from them. And among the things that I bought was that I bought a ring. I bought a ring, a diamond ring, and at that time I used to wear the diamond ring on the right hand, right hand. So one fine day, incidentally, it so happened that I was actually not even in India. I was outside of India. That while I was dining with a business connect, I realized that the diamond is missing. So you know what? We all grew up watching all kinds of movies, and we thought, oh, in case the diamond is gone in, it's going to kill me, it's going to rip me through, and all that. So this poor business associate of mine, whom I possibly was meeting for the first time, would end up calling me on a regular basis to check how am I doing, and all those things. Of course, I don't know where the diamond fell, but the first thing that I did on my return is to come back and tell Mr. Krishna Chetty that, sir, this is what happened. I wasn't expecting, of course, any favors, but he did. He said, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And there was this very young guy who's one of the family guy called Ganesh Haigriv or something like that. So he told me I'll get this replaced at no cost. Excellent. Absolute delight. Great joy. I told him that, Ganesh, you have won me now. I'm going to be your customer for life. So we said, thank you very much, sir. These are the ones that we want. And incidentally, how big is your family and how many children do you have? So I said, I just have one son. And somebody in this section knows his name. So I said, I just have one son. And he said, then you will hardly visit my place. I said, why do you say so? No, if you had told me you have a daughter or you have daughters, then you're most likely to be coming up more often because you want to buy gold for your daughters in anticipation of marriage, or daughters have a greater like for all the jewels and all the ornaments. So he knew exactly the segmentation that he wanted to address. And he knew that I may be a happy customer, but I'm not going to come back again and again and again. So once you know who your customer base is, life becomes so easy for you to sell. So that said, let's talk about an equally interesting story from another part of the world. IBM. IBM has been for years and years a very dominant company. I asked this question in the previous section. Let me ask you now, anybody from IBM? Nobody from IBM. Okay, good. So IBM is a 100-year-old company, if I'm right. So they had during the 70s and 80s a huge market share, a huge dominant monopolistic, or not near monopolistic market share. And US is a very funny country. US would not allow a monopolistic company to survive, and they'll do anything to ensure that there is no monopolistic behavior happening in a very, very open market-driven economy like the US. So they were over many years in the 70s and 80s, a Reagan administration encouraged lots of lawsuits were filed against IBM for lots of monopolistic behavior. The idea being is that somebody who has an 80% market share could actually control markets. You know what could happen if you have a government which has 80% one singular dominant party. So they were afraid that they would be driving market, dictating prices, dictating suppliers, dictating users. And historically, there was this Bell, which now the AT&T company standing for Abraham Bell. Bell was like the BSNL of India, the dominant and possibly the only telco or communication company or a very dominant company in the US. So the government then, long back, not in the 70s, but much before, decided that you cannot have one singular player in the market. So they actually had to break up. It's like breaking up BSNL into 20 companies. BSNL Karnataka as a separate company, separate pricing, separate. That will bring in competition. That will bring in effective service delivery. So they broke down Baby Bells. That's why the word Baby Bell came. So they wanted to break down IBM in the 70s and 80s. But the more they researched about IBM, the more they went behind the IBM customers, they realized that IBM was doing no wrong. IBM had an absolute connect with their customers. If you look at IBM in the 60s, where computing became mainframe or mainline business, mainline computing became mainline, which means that every company had some kind of a computing device. The IBM 360 mainframes came into existence, and that individual who made the purchasing, and you will learn in subsequent classes when it comes to B2B purchasing or B2B marketing, that there are 7 kinds of buyers. We'll talk about them later, but I'm looking at the clock. I don't want to miss too much. Okay, so then you had what is called the president who was making the decision. But in the 70s was the periods of the main mid frames and PCs. The IT managers and the purchase managers became the decision makers. Now the IBM sales team or the IBM marketing team knew everything about the IT managers. They knew what their pain point was. They knew what was their problem. They knew where they were educated. They knew everything about them. They connected so well that their customers loved them. Eventually, the government was unable to break down IBM, and it continues to survive as it is. Sometime in the early 2000s, Microsoft also started behaving, and this time I believe that Microsoft did seriously do some mischief, that Microsoft also started to dominate the market. Because Microsoft was the dominant OS, Microsoft demanded that the companies which bought the OS or the IBM PC compatibles which had the OS also had to have their browser, which would then ensure that no other browser survived, and that's probably resulted in the death of Netscape, maybe the crippling of Firefox, but they became a dominant player. They also, at that time, the government did toy with the idea of breaking Microsoft into 1, 3, or 4 separate units, but it did not happen. But anyway, what are the that I'm telling you from IBM is that if you know the exact segment, you know exactly who your customer is, you have huge market share. Now, segment can be demographic, meaning that age, things, and all that. This is something for you to read. But segmentation can also be psychological. Psychological meaning that we discuss what is called unexpressed desires or unexhibited desires, dreams, desires. The one major problem that the customer has, and you solve that problem, you get into it. So psychological segmentation or psychographic segmentation is a very, very important. So we discussed about specialization, we discussed about differentiation, we discussed about segmentation, and then we will discuss about concentration. What is concentration? Concentration is not the word that they use. The title of my slide is also STP. So concentration is more known as targeting. Targeting is getting exactly to that customer. Minimal wastage of energy. With minimal effort or the right effort, you go to the customer. Who is that individual customer? If you can put a list of parameters which your customer is, you go there. How do I define targeting as? One way to do, as I said, is to put up an ad for my product, which is so specialized in Bangalore times, but hopefully there is some super technical expert who wants my product, also reads Bangalore Times, also likes sandalwood, and hence he may buy my product. But that's too much of a gamble to do. That is called carpet bombing. Carpet bombing is just what happened in carpet bombing was that when post 9/11, Bush said, I know my enemy. I know my enemy is in Argentina, not Argentina, is in Afghanistan, and I know my enemy is in Iraq. But I don't know where is he in Iraq. Is he in the palaces of the emperor, or is he in the mountains? But I don't know. So what will I do? I will do carpet bombing, means that I'll virtually bomb everywhere, and hopefully somewhere I'll hit some target. So that's like putting up a huge newspaper ad, hoarding ads, television ads. You don't know who is going to be watching you. It could be anybody, but you might hit a larger population there. But targeted attacking or concentrated attacking is like these drones which came and destroyed the oil fields of Saudi Arabian oil fields. If you remember 2, 3, 4 years back, this happened. Now these drones went pinpoint, dropped the bombs exactly where they did. They did not even drop the bombs in the nearby housing quarters. So there was no damage of human beings, and that was more like concentrated attack. So now if you do a more concentrated marketing and know exactly who to hit, you then become more successful. And in today's world, you have search engine optimization, which tells you exactly how to get the customer who is looking for what you have. So that is one thing. The last is positioning. Positioning is in your mind. What do you think of me? What do you think of me? What is the image that I, as Professor Ramesh, is trying to create for you? How much is that? I have an image of myself in my mind, and how closer am I, is my imagination to your imagination? If we have a complete sync, oh, you may be the most perfect student, I might be the most perfect professor for you. So it's the positioning of the mind which is very important. And I felt that this is a big example. This guy is called Arshad Warsi. Arshad Warsi, to me and to 90% of the Indian population, he's known as Circuit. Correct? There's no two doubts about it. He's known as Circuit. Whatever he may do, he will be remembered as Circuit. He has acted as in serious roles. He has acted as a hero, but we refuse to see him as one. So that's the mental positioning in my head. That's it. Do what you may, I cannot take you seriously, Mr. Arshad Warsi, because that's the positioning that you have created in my mind. On the contrary, the boy here has every known feature to say that he is an aspirant for IIT or AIIMS, no doubts about it. But if you know that individual, it happens to be your nephew, or it happens to be he happens to be the real guy in your neighborhood, he could be an ultra mischievous guy. But it's what the characteristics of this picture that show to me: glasses, a formal shirt, a pencil in hand, oiled hair, a straight firm look, means that he's a studious guy. So what's important in our life is also how we position our product in the mind of the customer. Long story for an introduction of a subject. We'll now move into the subject. Okay. New share. Any questions? Very quiet out there. All the bots are awake.
Yes, no questions, sir. Going good.
Oh, okay. One bot woke up. Okay, good. Thank you. This is also we are done. This is also we have done with my. Sorry, I'm not an expert in this. Don't say. Resume share. Do you see this?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So STP, I gave you a gyan about STP. STP standing for segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Maximize your marketing impact. Now you tell me, who is this product for? Jinsey Sebastian, you suggest to me, who is this product for?
For people who are looking for getting married.
Okay. Anything else?
It's also for parents who are looking out for their children's marriage proposals. It's for the age group of, it can be for any age group, but generally it's going to be between 25 and above.
Anything
and
else?
It's specific to religion.
Religion,
One is Kannada matrimony, which is basically the language that you speak.
Mhm.
Elite matrimony, I'm not sure. I think it's
Yeah,
generalized.
anybody, Shashank is wanting to get married and he wants to answer. Go ahead.
Allied matrimony is like upper class people. It looks like the brands like.
Wait, no, could you repeat what you said? Could you repeat what you said? Elite matrimony is for?
Like classic high class peoples like
Okay.
who's looking for it's looking like branded. The matrimony, Kannada matrimony is looking like no.
Kannada matrimony is looking for?
I want to try. But comparatively, Elite is looking like a high class people.
Okay, no, correct. There is no wrong answer. Now tell me. So who else wants? Shashank wants to say something? Go ahead.
I want to try a bus.
Yeah, Professor, I was in line with what Satish was telling. Elite matrimony seems like it's a platform for like premium class people or people having a certain high
Income or property value.
property assets
Yeah.
with lot of assets. And Kannada matrimony, as it suggests, it's a platform where Kannada speaking people can register to look for
Okay, so do you mean to say that the ultra rich Kannada speaking guys, the ultra rich Kannada speaking guys will fit into Kannada matrimony?
yes, so this example will fit in both they'll fit in both the platforms. If
Okay,
they're
do you think the Tamil speaking ultra rich will settle into elite matrimony?
They can,
Yes.
but Kannada would not be a very suitable. So elite.
No, at elite matrimony. So okay, so what
Yes.
you're saying is okay, good. So elite matrimony is for the rich. Kannada matrimony is primarily for those who speak Kannada. Correct? Right. Good job. Now, what is this for? Who is this product not for?
People who are not divorced.
Okay. What else?
People who is divorced, right? People who is divorced and
Put it in a better way, people who are not getting married for the first time.
It is not for people who are wanting to get married for the first time. Okay. What else?
It's mainly for the people who are already divorced once and looking for remarriage.
Remarriage. Okay. Good. Anybody else wants to add something? Yeah. Is that the old hand or the new hand, Shashank? Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay. So anybody else wants to say something?
Maybe it is not for the people above the age of 60, not targeted for the people. There might be some exceptions, but not targeted for them.
Oh, but okay. Maybe you're saying that, yeah. So the
Who
point
is not planning for remarriage?
not, yeah. But then, so the point is, any segmentation could include certain people who fit in. It also includes certain people who do not fit into your product services. Elite matrimony, I may not care what language you speak, but I'm interested, do you fill into that 10 crore, whatever, 100 crore product line that is. In Kannada matrimony, only thing I'm worried is that can you speak Kannada, then you fit into my bracket. Similarly, diverse matrimony talks about not. You don't qualify. It is only a certain section of the people that you want. So there is a longer list of people who do not qualify, and there's a shorter list of people who qualify. So all this is only to encourage you to look at what is the segmentation that these two products are looking at. If you look at this segmentation in terms of the jewelry products, obviously there is a male, female, clear segmentation. Raymond is clearly targeted at somebody who's a male and wants to have fine clothing. The MIA, which is whatever it stands for, is looking at a young, possibly working woman by looking at her face and behavior or dress styles. So you do a certain amount of segmentation. You say, this is what I would look at. And I was saying is that among the many things, my wife would go to buy some cosmetics. And obviously she goes into a cosmetic showroom or a shop. And I'm the poor guy standing outside, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And you know what happens. She's not coming out. And what do? I draw all the known energy that and bravery, and I walk into the store. Do you think the lady who's in that store is going to ask me, sir, what are you looking out for? She wouldn't even care a damn. She knows that this man does not qualify, and there is no point in spending and asking him, what is it that you're looking out for? She knows that he's come here because his wife is hanging around here for too long. So while knowing who your customer or knowing who your segmentation is important, equally important is knowing who your target segmenter is not. Executive MBA program will not run behind people who have zero work experience or who are into college, who are so we are assuming that everybody is either working or between X to 15 or 20 years of experience, has time on the weekends, and then comes. So it's all about segmentation. The next is look at these two, the bounce versus Uber. So who will use bounce and who will use Uber?
People who can ride, but they don't have a vehicle can use bounce. And people essentially who don't have a license, who can't afford vehicle, and they don't use vehicles often for commuting, I think those people use Uber.
One version of looking at things, another version of looking at things.
Just to add,
go ahead, Nagesh. After Nagesh, the other person. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So just adding my point of view is the younger generation who wants to be more responsible and control of their transport system, or you can call it as their work ethics. So they would be at the Uber side, bounce side.
Yeah, bounce side.
And the age old, I mean, the higher ups, 45 and 50, who wouldn't want to risk into the traffic and move along, would be wanting to stay on Uber side.
Okay. Is there somebody else wanted to talk right after?
Yes, Professor. Actually, people who wants to go to their locations much faster and who don't want to wait and who don't want to waste their time, probably people will go for bouncer. And Uber, who can actually spend some time and think that it is better to reach the destination in a sophisticated manner than to wait.
What is it? Hang on. You just used one word saying sophisticated manner. What does that mean? Why people who use bounce don't travel in a sophisticated way?
Like if you see the dust and the pollution, or else the traffic, all those things
exactly.
You're facing directly. But Uber, you will be resting back, sitting in the car. You'll not be taking any of the heat of the traffic or pollution. That's what I meant by sophisticated.
Right, perfect. So which means that it is not necessary that you do not know driving to sit in an Uber. You may know how to drive a two-wheeler, but still you could be sitting in an Uber, right? So the lack of driving skill is not the parameter for differentiation. There are many other parameters, like you said, financial affordability, speed of service. Like somebody said, the guy would love to zip through the streets. So there is at no point in your conversation did neither Deepika nor Nagesh use the word it's a he or a she, because that's not the consideration for you. It could be a he, it could be a she. That gender is irrelevant in your conversation. Perfect. So that is it. Now, this is the third and possibly the last on this conversation, is that define the individual. I'll explain. This is TVS Star City. It costs 49,999. This is Java Perak. This costs 2 lakh rupees. And as you can see, it's just got one hanging seat out there for your bottom. Now, Deepika, Shruti, anybody else, give me in your mental frame, description of the user in both cases.
Yes, Professor, I'll give a try. Deepika here. So for Java Perak, if you see, probably the one who loves speed and the one who loves to drive solo and who are probably in the rich end, and at the same time, who will actually think that the quality of drive matters for him alone, will go for Java Perak. And for TVS Star City, probably a family person who will think that middle class family person, and at the same time who will think like I can travel with my family and take my children.
Correct. Perfect. Good.
Yeah. So probably people like that, and who will probably want to drive only in the towns, like the city.
Okay. Now, perfect. Now, Deepika, perfectly understood. Very well said. Now, you seem to have hit it on the nail. But now, when this guy, whoever this guy is, for example, let's now pin down the guy. This is Vinayak Pendikal, who is sitting on this Java Perak. What do you think he's thinking? What is going in his mind? Or Vinayak, do you want to tell me when you sit on that, what goes on in your mind? You tell me, Deepika.
Yeah, probably he might be a youngster and he might be thinking, I'll go for a long drive and I want to enjoy my holiday or my vacation, and I want to go to a proper view. And
what is he thinking about the world thinking of him?
He thinks he's a macho man.
Good. We're not pinpointing on Vinayak. Are you a macho man?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the point is very well done, Deepika. Very well done. Good job. Anybody else wants to add in?
Yeah, TVS Star City is like start from middle class. It's they will see in terms of efficiency in price wise. It is efficiency. They can afford. But Java, the people will feel like the quality of drive here, the efficiency of the price.
So, do you think the Java guy is going to ask that most important question that is asked, "Kitna deti hai"? Do you think he's going to ask that question?
No, never, sir.
Never. But then the TVS Star City guy knows how much it is, right? He might even have a small
log.
The
efficiency of money.
Yeah, he might even have a small logbook where he'll note down every time it filled up. Yes, somebody's raised a hand. Go ahead.
Probably like a comparison between Apple phone and a Samsung phone. I can say one more attitude of seeing this example.
Correct. Correct.
Something like, I can probably have both the bikes, but I might be using TVS Star for my daily commute, where mileage is more important.
I know where this conversation is heading, Chinmay. This conversation is heading into dangerous areas. So, so on the weekends, you want to ride on these streets, zip on the streets of MG Road. Unfortunately, every road is dug up for guys like you. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, what is all that brilliant job done? All 3 or 4 of you, brilliant job done. So this is exactly what TVS Star City has in its mind. It positions you as somebody who feels comfortable. TVS Star City, reliable, going out there, it will not get me down. It will not go beyond this one. Most likely, in the case of Java Parak, he's most likely to get some whistle wolves and then women winking at him, is what he's assuming. So this is all about positioning of the mind. So we'll stop at that and go to one other slide and then be done with this chapter. So while it is important, you need to know your customer. Exactly. Segmentation is all about knowing your customer. Let's look at these 2 brackets. State Bank of India versus American Express. Netflix versus ZEE5. I'm going to take Netflix versus ZEE5. I want Deepika and the ones who did not speak to continue this conversation in the sense that compare the age of the Netflix user with the ZEE5 user.
Sindhu this side, so I want to go for this. So if
Yes,
you are
go for it.
Asking the age segment for Netflix, it's going to be mostly the youngsters. If not, this nowadays it is even across every age group. You can see they've started using in this pandemic. But Z is usually, if I have to say, a age group of, say, a woman who is very much family oriented, who spends most of her time at home, maybe somewhere between 35 and above. So, and
perfect.
Something there. This is what I could say.
What is do you see? A woman, so you are saying that age is important. Then for you to understand the customer base, you also seem to be saying that ZEE5 is mostly women, or you're saying both men and women?
No, it's both men and women.
Both women. So is marital status any way that I can draw any conclusion from Netflix and ZEE5 on the marital status of my customer?
Not really, because
obviously. So what you're saying is the marital status becomes an irrelevant parameter for measurement. That's the point that I was saying. What about the approximate CTC of let's say Netflix versus ZEE5? Again, CTC may become more important in, let's say, I did a SpiceJet versus Emirates comparison. But what do you think about Netflix versus ZEE5? Who's likely to have a larger income?
Definitely Netflix.
Netflix, yeah, assumption. There's no wrong and right about it. Can I also ask you that the most likely location of the person for Netflix?
Likely location.
Or okay, I'll modify the statement.
Could be anywhere on the ground.
And okay, most likely location, back to Sindhu, most likely location for a person who is a State Bank of India user and a person who's with the American Express.
State Bank of India, as the name says, it's going to be within India. Any state,
rural versus
parts
urban.
of India.
Yeah, right. And the American Express would be
somewhere abroad.
Abroad or key primary locations in India. So,
yes.
So the point is that when you're doing a comparison, why am I telling this? There is demographic comparison, there is demographic segmentation, geographic segmentation, ethical segmentation, all kinds of segmentation. But not all segmentations matter in every other customer location. It really doesn't matter what mobile phone does an Oracle user versus an EMBA course user matter. That's an irrelevant parameter of measurement. So that's what I wanted to do. And
Professor, I want to add one more direction to it, Deepika here, where I can say people who doesn't want to spend hours and hours on the TV, they'll go for Netflix because they want to finish their entertainment in short spans.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Z5 is what more people will be interested in, approaching the drama part of the life. Maybe interested in the real aspects. And
absolutely, you're right. So now, Deepika, you are now digging so deep into this conversation is because you have now done something which is exactly what Net5 and Z5 want. Net5 might want to see not Net5. Netflix user may want to see a battle of drones, or might be interested in the Game of Thrones kind of a movie, whereas you're saying a Z5 person might want to have crying soap opera and things like that. So now you know what kind of movies will eventually, or serials will come out of it, because they know who the end user is. Perfect. Good job done. I was also tracking on the Amazon versus Flipkart, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to move along. So I have taught you segmentation, market, and all that stuff. There are lots and lots of pages of this conversation to go along. I believe I have, here you go, geographic, demographic, psychographic, all that. You will read it and then go ahead. I'm now going to go to one other subject, which is exactly 45 minutes left to complete it. And that's another very, very important conversation that we are going to have.
So can we take a 5-minute break?
Sure. Okay, good. I have to 350, right? So seriously 355, because I have to complete it. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, you decide. Sheila, decide. When do you want to be back?
5 minutes will be okay.
Okay, 5 minutes.
The battery through the sunlight. The bag is embedded with a solar panel of, solar panels basically.
Okay.
So I have an idea like this. So I have to understand like a market. I have to do certain market research to understand, okay, if people would buy it or not. But I don't have the product yet.
Doesn't matter. We'll create the product. Create the product. So now
Okay.
we're saying solar. So now you say, what are the features of that, salient features of that product is what? It is back.
It's a battery. It carries a battery pack which
charges
charges
your devices,
electronic equipment. It has
and then what else does it do?
I can stack multiple bags.
It's got a built-in fan to give comfort to your shoulder.
Yes, and
so
also it can have a built-in cover to cover the solar panels from rain and stuff.
Rain.
So it
okay.
may make it weatherproof.
Fair enough. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Now let's get everybody else involved.
Yeah, you can add portable to it. Easy to carry. Easy to carry, portable, you can say.
Yeah, easy to carry, portable. Now, Deepika, it's a specific question targeted at you as in Deepika. Okay, I know very little about you. Will you buy the bag?
As it is renewable, because renewable sources are booming in the market, and based on the marketing strategies, like there is no need to invest again money for you, no maintenance charges. And if you enlighten the customer, and probably I'll go ahead with that. And both the pros and cons of the product. Like cons, when I'll say the chip or the battery device which you are using, it's not lithium based, it's a new other material what it has been invented. and which will be again emerging in the market. There are no side effects for your health.
You're finding more reasons for not buying it. Okay,
Actually,
no. Deepika, will you, Shashank, can you give her at a 50% discount? Will you buy it tomorrow morning? Deepika,
Yeah.
tomorrow morning, will you buy? He's giving you at a 50% discount. Are you working from home or are you working from office?
right now, I'm from home only, sir.
So will you buy the bag?
If I'll see the cost calculation, electricity versus this bag, and if it comes less.
Oh my God, Deepika is planning to buy this bag, put it on the rooftop of her house and charge her phones. Is that what you're planning to do?
The way I said, the battery also I have told, right? The lithium battery. Actually,
right. So okay, now let's get into the point that Shashank was saying, is that how do you segment your product? What I brought in was specialty. The segmentation primarily has to be two-wheelers. If you're driving in a car,
Understood. Got it. Very good point, sir.
Yeah. So if you're going in a car, there's no way your your backpack would get charged. There's no way Deepika will buy it because she's working from home. She's just giving you some making you feel good so that your project fails. She has ulterior motives.
Should be targeted out of the European market, not in the European market.
Correct. So the point is, so now, if that is, so now where would you want to advertise your products? You may want to, so the basic customer is going to be Zomato, Ola guys, and things like that, right? Zomato and Amazon, right, Shashank?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So then you start looking at where do you position or where do you put your product. So that's it. But hang on, I really have to complete this if I have to get you to answer my assignment. So now I'll go to bot mode now and let's go on this. Now look at it. What is the motive of business? The motive of business is that you survive. Let me delete this so that what is the basic is that every company does well, every company does bad. And was that look at this. We'll go to this list. Some companies, do you know which is this company? Do you know which is this company?
Casio.
What about, this is supposed to be MySpace. You don't even know it. You don't even know what is MySpace. But you seem to be 24 hours on the product which replaced MySpace, which is Facebook. Yeah. And what is this product?
Nokia.
We should have been there. You grew up with Nokia. And where is it? It's all dead. So what am I trying to say? But look at IBM. We just told you a story about IBM, how successful it is. We are looking at Wipro, how much of product diversification they have done all along. They came up with IT, they came up with soaps, and they came up with medical, and they're already surviving and all the time doing good. Netflix, an example of doing well. So the point is that every company has to be thinking about the future, especially if you MBA students have to think about the future of the company. I told that in the very first day, the job of the office coffee boy is to worry whether Deepika gets coffee today or not. He's not worried beyond today. Whereas the CEO of the company, the Nandan Nilekanis of the company, or the Chandrasekhars of the company are worried, where will my business be 10 years from now? Nobody can tell. I can't even tell you. Nobody can tell you what the business is. How many of you believe that WhatsApp will be the primary mode of communication like it is today, 3 years from now? Or how many of you believe that WhatsApp will be thrown out by something else? Or how many of you believe that WhatsApp will continue to be there for the next 100 years? No idea, right? So the question is, but somebody has to have the idea. Somebody has to do it. The company has to look 10 years from now. The company has to see, how do I predict my future? How do I do what next? Astrologers used to always predict. They're saying that there'll be rains this year, and there would be rains this year. If there was no rain, the astrologer would be killed by the king. So in every aspect of life, businesses come up, businesses die, businesses survive, and so do companies. But the job of our life is to visualize, is to anticipate. That's your job. That's the reason why you're sitting and doing an MBA thing. You cannot come back, go after the end of 18 months and your boss asks, okay, Deepika and Nagesh, tell me at the end of 18 months, what do you think I should be doing 3 years from now? You can say, I don't know. What do you mean, I don't know? That's exactly what you're supposed to tell me. Do you have the ability in you to anticipate, visualize, predict, get rid of products which are meaningless to you? There are so many products that the company does. They are meaningless nowadays. They throw them off. Do you think it's easy? Or what was I looking out for? Do you think you will get now you are even done away with, thanks to Mr. Steve Jobs, you're even done away with disk drives. There are no CD drives in your computer. Just got rid of it. So if you were a CD drive manufacturer, did you anticipate change? Did you anticipate the future? That's your job. Somebody is determining your future. Steve Jobs one fine day said that I want a thin computer, so let me get rid of it. It happens. It is what, do you have that in you? We are going to, in the next 45 minutes or whatever is left of, I got to run through this. It's 4 or 5 already. Can I go up to 440?
Sure, Professor.
Sure,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, no more than 440. That's my promise. I'll jump through this. So do you have the vision in you to say how the industry is going? Is the industry going diesel, petrol, or electric? It's very easy to say. Do you think theaters will survive today? Debatable. Maybe Netflix may buy all the theaters. Maybe Amazon may buy all the theaters. You don't know. So trends are important. How do these trends behave? So what is it that I should do? How do I stay ahead of the market? How do I stay ahead of the competition? What do I do so that the competition doesn't kill me? If competition doesn't kill you, technology will kill you. So how do I stay out of this thing? Imagine how difficult it is for the 3 existing parties which are in power to survive, because the party in power cannot bullshit. They have demonstrated what they can do. In the 3 elections I'm talking about, which is happening right now, the competition can always say, "Ye karega, wo karega. I'll give you gold. I'll give you gold biscuits, and I'll have all kinds of things." That's whereas the existing guy has to show what he did. Incumbency. Existing companies have a problem. If you understand, and you understand here, how could a company like Casio fail when they were the best electronic products? How could Sony not hang on in this market? How could BlackBerry not anticipate disaster? Why would Yahoo fail when it's so much part of a growing world? It's because something goes wrong somewhere. What is that something goes wrong? Every company must have 4 strategies to develop. What is it? In market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification. Market penetration means how do I increase market share among my customers? How do I expand my base? How do I serve? Amazon wants to be a company which says, I am available in 2,000 pin codes. I don't know. They are saying so. I don't even know if there are 2,000 pin codes, but they're saying that we will go to the my existing, I will go and get to every one of my customers. That's market penetration. I'm going deeper, deeper, deeper into the market. I will remove Flipkart out of business. I will get and enter into the market share. Market development is creating new customers for new products. I will make sure that the barrier to entry for the product is reduced. I will do away with subscription charges for Netflix. I will come up with, Netflix did that exactly that. What did Netflix do? Earlier, you had to pay X amount of money, and then you could only watch it on your computer, or you could cast it. But you could have 3 users. Now Netflix says, I will reduce the cost of entry. You can watch it individually on your mobile. So you're bringing in new customer for your existing products. Now, product development. I want new products. I, as Amazon, over the last 4 years, 5 years, have been delivering stuff to your house regularly. Now it's always been books and groceries and electronics. So you and I have a good relationship. You like Amazon, Amazon likes you. What do we do with this? What should Amazon say? Amazon now says, okay, listen, sorry, Deepika, your name comes to mind. Listen, Deepika, I have been delivering stuff into your house. Let me also deliver videos into your house. Let me also deliver an audio music into your house. Let me make it easier for you to track your deliveries by having an Alexa installed in your house. And this Alexa not only tells you where is your shipment, it also switches on the light. So the unique relationship that Amazon has developed with Deepika is being exploited by Amazon by giving new products to the same market, to the same customer. Who knows? Flipkart may get tired of all those things and say, I'm not going to get into this business, or not. Why Flipkart? Snapdeal is saying, in this battle between these two guys, I have nowhere to go. I'm getting out of all this business. I'm now going to set up meditation caps. Or let's say, you know what? The best example of diversification is Columbia Asia decided to sell all its hospitals to Manipal hospital groups, and it is now decided that it will go into a totally different market, which is managing senior citizen homes. That's a total new product for the new market. I don't want to get into this thing. I used to always say that I had a, what's this guy's name? That Vriddhi Sahu, or what is the name of that wicket keeper? Sahu.
Vridhiman Sahu.
Vridhiman Sahu. I'll tell you, I feel so sorry for him. Is in his lifetime, he cannot play for the Indian cricket team as long as Dhoni is there. Dhoni is such an obstacle for his growth that he cannot. The best thing for him to do, I'm exaggerating it, is to give up being a wicketkeeper and become a footballer. Because he has such a huge, iconic person sitting in front of him. And he, assuming he's the same age as Dhoni, imagine how is he going to, or Murli Kartik for that matter. There's no way that it. So what is the only choice is getting into new products and new markets. So you understand these 4 products: market penetration, expand, new customers for existing products, get into new markets, then new products for the same market, and get into totally different thing. If you have understood that, I'll put that in a matrix for you. This is how the matrix looks. Now, I talked about two things, which is this matrix was put into use by Boston Consulting Group, who said that by doing these four things, I will make sure that you have endless control on your products and will ensure that you go forward. Remember to read what is written here. This is, like I mentioned last time, these are slides that the company gives. So, or the publisher gives. So you read this. Whereas there might be a slide like, there might be a slide somewhere else, which may not even have that. But like this one, it will not have, it's a slide that I generated. Okay. So anyway, so this is the one. So BCG came up with this beautiful matrix. They talked about 2 points, and please remember, pay attention, ask questions. These are very, I may sound that I'm running, I'm not in a hurry. I have all the time in the world. So they said that let's come up with 2 concepts. Market share. What is market share? Market share is that percentage that you own in the market. For example, what do I see around me? Vivo. I have a Vivo phone. Shit, I just gave away targeting, segmentation, and positioning about myself. Never mind. So we have a market share. What percentage of the mobile business does Vivo have? 8%. So 8% of the market is what we are having as a market share. Now, are you happy with that market share? Maybe I'm happy with the market share because I am having 8% of the market share. My rival, which is, can't think of a name. Okay, my rivaling product, Samsung, has got a 4% market share. So in comparison to a leading rival, my market share is better. So relative market share can be compared as the percentage of business sold this year versus what the rival's market share. That is one definition. Then there is another thing, market growth. What is market growth? How did the market grow last year? The market for video conferencing tools grew up by 300% over 2020 and 21. The Skype growth was 7%. Something wrong, right? There's definitely something wrong. Skype grew by 7%. The whole conferencing industry grew by 300%. Zoom grew by 150%. And Google Meet grew up by 85%. So now you know where is the problem. Your growth is so comparable to the growth of the whole market. You really have a problem out there. You, Mr. Skype, you really have a problem. You're not growing as well as the industry is growing. Are you guys following me on these 2 terms? Because I'm moving out of these 2 terms.
Sir, I had a question here. Shashank here. Let's, if we compare Skype and let's say Google Meet, Skype is a older product. Google Meet is a new product. And out of 100 people, 70 people would already have been using Skype. But Google Meet has to start from the first person to get their product, right? So if the market growth according to this formula, that numbers kind of don't.
No, I'm just talking about percentage of growth. There's no doubt. There's no percentage of your growth to the market. How much did you go? How much did you go? Like there are. Let's say let's say there is Bisleri, there is Kinley, there is Aquafina. each of them have equal market share. Each of them have equal market. The market grew by 15% and each of the companies grew by 15%. Good, right? Nothing wrong. They are growing steadily. Now, Kinley does something miraculous. They add one component in the water which gives a glow on your face. I'm telling you that product is coming up very soon. So the moment that announcement came, the market is still growing at 15%. Nothing happened. People are still drinking that much of water only. But the Kinley market share grew up by 35% because of this announcement that the moment you drink, especially people whose names start with S, it gives a glow on their face. So now what is happening? This guy has done something miraculous that despite a market growth of 15%, his product has grown by 30%. Why is big basket in big dash dash dash, 4-letter word, when the Zomatos of the world, when every other supplier is doing so well, why did he have to sell? Why is Tata buying into that company? Is because despite a growing market, you have done bad. You understand? Despite what happened to Fresh Menu, how many of you, do you know there was a company called Fresh Menu?
Yes, Professor.
Oh my God, my son believed that the Fresh Menu is even fresher than the food that my wife makes. And now that, where's that company? Fresh Menu should have seen 600% growth in this pandemic because people are ordering left, right, and center on Zomato. But Fresh Menu didn't grow. Zomato grew. Zomato grew faster than the market grew. Do you understand, Shashank and everybody else?
Yes. I understood now.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
got the
So
concept.
now, if you have understood these things, let me also introduce you to 4 other stuff. This is called the Bcg Matrix, which said that the matrix of which matrix? This matrix can be modified. No, those matrices are not connected. Sorry. This matrix you can put all products in your portfolio under 4 categories. The categories are stars, question marks, cash cows, and dogs. What is all this nonsense? Let's try to understand it now. Remember, this slide is as important as the marketing mix slide. For the rest of your life, you must be able to have a marketing MBA conversation wherein you might be able to tell your boss, this product is going dogs. This product is a cash cow. This product is a star. That is what you should be able to have a conversation. So let's see what is a star. A star is one where the relative market share. Now, what do you mean by relative market share? Is that you are the market leader. Relative market share, leader. You are the leader in this market, and that market is growing heavily. Which is exactly the food delivery market. The food delivery market is now galloping, right? Everybody wants to order groceries. They don't want to move out of their house. They don't want to step out of their house. Everybody is, there is Porter, there is Dunzo, there are lots and lots of players. And I assume the king of all this is Zomato. So Zomato is going super fast and the product is high. The market is also very, very high. Do you guys get me on this? Example, Zoom. Everybody, there are more and more people getting into conference calls, buying Zoom accounts, using Google Meet. So the market will grow forever. I think all travels will die and there'll be more, we become more Zoomatic we can really, and I must tell you that just about yesterday, I had a conversation with a set of oldies. I myself am old, so you can imagine the age group that I'm talking about. And the Zoom ethic was brilliant. 1.5 hours of conversation. Everybody knew how to manage in a Zoom call. So the market is really going. And who is minting money in this market? Zoom. So that is the start. So if you guys get that, this is the start. If you have understood start, let me now take you to cash cow. In cash cow, is the market growing? No, the market is not growing. Market thanda ho gaya hai. Market mein dam nahi hai. But you are the leader of the market. Now look at the situation. The market is not growing, but you're the leader of this market. Example, Microsoft, absolutely. Let me even go out and say Microsoft Word doc or Microsoft or, oh no. Let's say, yeah, Microsoft is good, but I might, for my convenience of conversation, say Gmail. There are not too many accounts going. People are not running behind each other to open the account. But Gmail is a predominant player in the market, right? So what is happening? No great shake. If you look at the number of accounts which added last year to this year, same growth, 3% growth, 4% growth. People, whoever new guys are joining it. But market leader, I am the market leader. Cash cow, I don't have to do anything. I am sitting comfortably. I am like a cow. That's a cow. I feed it grass. It gives me milk. Do you understand? This is a cow in which I feed it grass. It gives me milk. Cash cow. Kuch nahi karne ka, aisa baitha hai. For the next 5 years, 6 years, I don't know. It will continue to do very well. Cash cows. Normally, cash cows will eventually become dogs. Meaning that they are existing in my portfolio. I don't know what to do about it. And eventually, I have some, I don't know how to get rid of it because I have invested or I have some people, like, for example, whenever there is, if you look at the banking industry, whenever two banks merge or whenever banks do computerization, I have to keep an eye on the clock, they end up with a set of people who are not qualified to do computing or who are the oldies. But there is humanitarian reason for having it. So, or, okay. The best example is Telegram was finally switched off. If you guys know, I'm talking about the devotee Telegram, which was finally switched off about 2 years back, right? 2 or 3 years back. But there were no users over the last 10 years. But why was Telegram still continuing? Because 1 or 2 divisions of the defense or 1 or 2 ministries were doing it, or they had promised that we will not switch it off for the next 10 years. So just continuing, nothing happening. It's a pain for you. You have to continue that industry. So you have cash cows, you have stars, and you have dogs, and then you have question marks. Question mark, look at the question mark. Huge growth. But your share is very low. Example is, let's say, GeoMart, or not GeoMart. Example is Tata Click. How many of you know what is Tata Click?
So it's an e-commerce website where we get.
It's an e-commerce website, right? But did you Rohit buy? Did Rohit ask me a question? That Rohit, raise your hand.
No, Professor. I was just raising hand for the one who knows.
Tata Click, absolutely. Now my question to you is, Do you know Tata Click, but did you buy from Tata Click?
No, I tested some softwares for them.
You tested, but you didn't really buy it. I also believe that most of us know what is Tata Click, but we have not bought it. So, but why is Tata not closing it? Because Tata believes that the market is growing. Definitely the market is growing for Amazon and Flipkart. But incidentally, my market is low. That's the problem. My market is low. Jio also has a conferencing center. Jio also has a chat center. They are saying, we'll keep it. We never know. The market is growing good. We will keep it. Maybe we'll survive and all that. So Boston Consulting Group said that every business of yours, you can put them in these 3-4 categories. Cash cow may become dogs. Dogs may eventually die. The question mark may become a star, or the question mark may become a dog, depending on market conditions and depending on how you react to it. But remember, star needs a lot of attention. Just like the stars, you have to pamper them. You have to give it a lot of attention. Cash cow is like a cow. You just feed it grass. It will give you milk. But remember, you took care of it one time with lots of love and affection. And today it is giving you huge returns. That is why every company wants to have a cash cow. For Reliance Petroleum is the cash cow. They don't have to do anything. For Tata Steel is the cash cow. They understand market so very well. They have been complete market control. So they will make sure, but they may do something disastrous and they will lose the market. So this is about the BCG matrix. I have asked you in assignment 2 to talk about BCG matrix for the companies that you can choose. So you will tell me how this looks today for a company of your choice and how will it look 10 years later. Do you think 10 years later, Amazon would be looking at delivery as the best thing? Who knows? Amazon may be looking at rocket launchers as the start. But maybe Amazon Video may become a cash cow, or Amazon Video, nobody is buying it. It may become a dog because I may have subscribed for a 5-year service with Amazon, and Amazon has to give me 5 years service. So it may be there. So this is what you're expected. But lastly, just like I gave you SWOT and I gave you VRIO, there is a totally another type of thinking. This is called the G9 cell matrix. Because if Boston can come up with something, their competing consulting company, McKinsey, can also come up with something. What did McKinsey say? I don't believe in the 4 dog star matrix. I have what is called the 9 matrix. What does that 9 matrix consist of? The 9 matrix consists of the same thing. It's the same thing, but a slightly different version. It talks, we were talking about market share here. He is talking about industry attractiveness. It was talking about your company's share. It's talking about the business unit strength. So similarly, so how is the market doing? The market is doing not so good. What's your market share? I have 70% of market share. How is the market doing? Which is, are people rushing left, right, and center to buy shoes and slippers? No. But how much percentage that Bata have in the business? Oh, we at Bata have a 42% market share. That's a huge share. You are a cash cow, nothing to do. Your customers will come to your shop and buy your product. Loyalty, hard work for the last 30 years, building up a brand image of Bata for the last 30 years. I have also become, despite the fact that I am not the generation which saw, we are a generation, we have always seen Bata with us. Despite that, I believe that the best footwear to a certain category comes best from Bata. So low market growth. But where do you buy your shoes from? Where you buy your, I don't buy my shoes from there, but where do you buy your slippers? Buy from Bata, because what does it mean? Low market, but huge market share. This is Kareem footwear or some other flip flop or something. Market not growing well. I have a 3% market share. What are you doing? Get rid of it. Harvest. Harvest, harvest, harvest means get out, get out. Hold means stay in it. Interesting, very high, which is this very high growth, which is the OTT sector. Who are you? I am a MX player. I assume MX player is not doing well. The OTT market is doing very well. The you know what is OTT, right? The Netflixes of the world is doing well. I, as MX player, are struggling. What should I do? No, don't sell, because the market attractiveness is good. Hold on to it. So this is the GE 9-cell matrix. I want you to either take GE 9-cell or Boston Consulting and do your next assignment. I'm done with it. I'm possibly on time, but I have plenty of time to answer your questions. What do you want to say? Have you understood? Needless to say, a good percentage of questions will come from these two in your exam as well. Silence means acceptance or sleep mode.
Professor Rajesh.
9.
Yeah, go ahead.
Professor, we were discussing on the formula on relative market share. And in the formula, made a note that the the market share is basically calculated based on my current sales divided by the competitive.
No. That is not market share. That's relative market share.
Relative market share. Okay. I'm sorry. Fine. I'm through.
You see, I am in the business of, I am MG. Morris Garage.
Yeah.
I am worried about market share. Correct. I only have a 3%, 4% market share. But the leading rival say, even actually, I might even go to the extent of saying, drop the word leading, rival. No way will MG reach the stage of Maruti, at least not for the next 10 years. So what do I go and tell my boss? Boss, I as MG, my market share is better than Kia. There's no way that I can get a market share better than Maruti, because Maruti is a leader. They have got 52% market share. But take joy in the fact that our biggest competitor in all other markets, we always compete with Kia. Compared to Kia, I am better. So isn't that a good reason for you to give me a promotion? So I hope you get the point I was trying to tell you.
Yes, Professor.
It's always the leading. So when you write for an example, you will say, what is the market share of MG over MG? Now the differentiation also becomes in the SUV market or in the 20 lakhs category market. So those all happens later on. But in the overall car market, what is the relative market share of MG when it compared to Maruti? Something like that. Okay. Anybody else? Done? Okay, thank you very much. I will.
Sir,
Yes.
Shashank here. One last clarification. So, sir, you spoke a lot of examples about products and how it falls under either being a cash cow or dog. So I was also thinking service sectors.
No. Service also, all the time. Service.
Yeah.
Service.
So
I'll give you an example.
Yeah, examples.
Infy's primary business comes from addressing the banking sector in India. Infosys. I believe Infosys has what is called Bank 2000 or something like that. So most of the banks in India are now for the last 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, Infy has been having a decent market share of the market, which is what Vaishya Bank, then Lakshmi Vilas Bank. I'm purposefully giving certain names that you will later on appreciate. Or like say Vijaya Bank or Syndicate Bank have all been Infy's customer. Cash cow, very good, nothing to doubt. Very happily sitting out there till 2010. 2010, State Bank of India merges, or let's say Canara Bank merges Syndicate Bank. Bank of Baroda swallows Vijaya Bank. Now, this cash cow is no longer a cash cow because Bank of Baroda will now start implementing their banking software into the thing. So what was till yesterday a cash cow, because banks are being born every day, right? Banks are born once in a while. So that is what is the cash cow concept on the services. So similarly with all of them, you can get to a similar thought process.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay, good guys. Nice conversation with you all. And of course, you have a question. Otherwise, shall we consider it done? Okay, good. And enjoy whatever is left of the Saturday today. Okay, bye for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.